Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are welcome to this broadcast. I'm delighted to have you join us. My name is Emmanuel Ogbinaka, and by divine providence, a consultant in agriculture, specific soil science, and land management. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to a topic that we run through series. In this particular section, we're going to be talking about the choice of oil palm as crops to be integrated with the real estate. But before I continue and dive into the major discussion in this video, I want to quickly recognize and see here that I'm delighted to partner with this reputable company and organization, the Silvawell Limited. I think this is an organization that have a foresight into what I will tag converting wastages into productivity and profitability. I call it wastages, and you come to understand some of these things as we progress in this educative and informative section. The agro real estate business is a business that is more than a step ahead the nominal real estate business. The nominal real estate business is all about what I would call buy and wait for your profit to grow. This is different from the agro real estate, of which the Silvawell company is known for. The agro real estate is what I tag buy and earn while your profit also grows. The reason for that is because the agro real estate business tends to convert the period of waiting, that period which I call the fallow period, into productivity. So let's take, for example, you buy a land, instead of waiting for 5 or 10 or 15 years or 20 years as the case might be, waiting for time to bring profitability. Such period, such fallow period is put into active production by engaging in agriculture. And that is why the agro real estate business is way far ahead of the nominal real estate business. Let me quickly give 5 basic reason why the agro real estate business is a business that is worth invested into. First is what I call the MROI, that is maximum return on investment. The agro real estate business is a business that I see as a multiple income flow because there's diversification. That period of fallow that is put into agricultural purpose could be another avenue through which the investor can get his profits. The second reason why the agro real estate business is worth investing in is what I call the C of L, which is security of land. And if there's one challenge that most investors into the real estate business face, is the issue of security of land, especially when we are talking about a part of the world where there's incidents of this land grabbing and all of those things. One have to consider how he can secure his land. And the agro real estate, be it that you are putting the land, that fallow period, engaging it into active agricultural production, you have maximum security of your land. It reminds me of those days when people even purchase the land, they go the extra mile. If they are not ready at the moment to develop the land in terms of structures and all that, they resort to cultivation of crops and some of these agricultural practices. All of this is to create this security. There are some communities where they tell you outrightly when you are purchasing a property from them, they give a condition that within a period of time, the land should be put into active use. Otherwise, there can be a revoking and then a reselling, as the case might be. But the agro real estate business is a business whereby your land is not lying fallow. It's been engaged with agricultural production, and therefore there is maximum security. Again, I see the third basic reason for agro real estate be a business to invest in, what I call IVL, that is increased value of land. You agree with me that the value of a land that you left fallow without any productive venture going on it may not be as valuable as a land that you have invested in. It's just like selling a bare land and selling a land where you already have a building. That is what agro real estate is all about. A land where you already have agricultural production going on, it tends to increase the value of such land. And then we also have the social benefits. Of course, you are contributing to food security, you are contributing to employment, and the function of environmental benefit. You are contributing to the maintenance of our environment by simply engaging in agricultural production. So these are some of the many or numerous reasons why the agro real estate business is worth investing in. Now, in going into the agro real estate, here we are talking about integrating agriculture with the real estate business. The question is, what branch of agriculture, what segment of agriculture is economical integrating with the real estate business? Of course, if we look at the crop cultivation as a sector to integrate with the real estate, then the question of the choice of crop, which crop is best suited, best economical, can create a maximum return within the shortest period with low risk and maximum productivity. And then we should be considering one of the best crops, which is the oil palm. So I will quickly run you through a very brief introduction into the oil palm as a crop to consider in looking at crops to integrate with the real estate business. And that's what we refer to as the agro real estate. I want to take you through some basic reasons why the oil palm is one of the best crops to be chosen as a crop to integrate with the real estate business. The first reason is because the oil palm is a crop that is classified as a perennial crop. It is a perennial crop different from every other type of crop which we can refer to as the annual or the biennial crops, because it has a long lifespan. In other words, there is a long opportunity given to the investor to make more profit. If you talk about the oil palm, the local variety of oil palm can last for as long as 200 years. Talking about the hybrid variety, this can last for a minimum of 30 years. In comparison with annuals and some of biennials that you cultivate, and in less than a year you have your harvest and then another cultivation starts all over again. This is not the case with the oil palm. The oil palm is a choice crop because once production sets in, the investor, the farmer, stands to enjoy the profit that comes from it for 30 years minimum. So this is one of the reasons why the oil palm is preferred among other crops when you talk about crops to integrate with the real estate business. Another reason why the oil palm is a choice crop is what I call easy adaptability. The oil palm is a crop that can easily adapt to most soils. Now, in the course of our lecture, we indeed talk about some of the soil requirements and all of those things that is needed for oil palm cultivation. On the average, the oil palm is a crop that is easily adapted to most soil types. And that is the second reason why the oil palm is considered perhaps the best crop to integrate. And then another reason is the fact that the oil palm is easy to cultivate. No doubt about that. Among every other crops that we may decide to look at here, although there may be some specialties and some technical know-how which are not too elaborate, the oil palm is one of the crops that is easy to cultivate. Another reason why the oil palm is also to be chosen as a best crop here is the fact that the oil palm is known as a low risk crop. Low risk to environmental factors, low risk to pests, low risk to disease. On the average, again, I say that the oil palm is a low risk crop. Another reason why the oil palm is picked among every other plant is the fact that it is a drought resistant crop. What that means is that once the oil palm is established, it has developed, it can withstand some reasonable period of absence of rain in comparison with some other annual or biennial crops which obviously cannot do without the rains. So we see that the oil palm is to a large extent drought resistant. Another reason is the fact that the oil palm has a high pest and weed resistant ability. Now, in comparison with some of other arable crops that we can decide to choose as agricultural crops, the rate of impact that weeds may have in some of all these other crops cannot be compared to the oil palm. It's a crop that has a very high resistance to pests and weed infestation and all of that. The oil palm produces all year round. I remember some time back when we were to invest in some family businesses, and I remember my dad, late now, will tell us why investing into oil palm. The oil palm, it takes time. Of course, I'm going to discuss and talk about that. The lifespan, the duration before you start getting a return on your investment on this particular crop. But you see, the oil palm is a crop that can actually put you on, should I say allowances now, or salary on monthly basis. The oil palm is a crop that its production is not seasonal. Though it may depreciate in some season, but the oil palm produces all year round. And so you are sure of monthly harvest of your oil palm. So that is, I think, a good reason for the consideration of oil palm. If you talk about some other crop, even if you decide to consider some other tree crops, you have most of these crops are seasonal crops. There's a season they produce, and there's a season they go into dormancy or for vegetative growth and all of those. But this is different for the oil palm. Again, it produces all year round. It can be intercropped. Now, I'm going to talk about the science of intercropping in the course of our discussion, but just to mention that the oil palm is a crop that you can actually intercrop with other crops for a certain period, as we are going to discuss in later broadcasts. And then the last reason I want to give why the oil palm is the choice crop is the fact that the oil palm has a short latent period. Back to my personal story I shared earlier, where my dad would say, if you go into the cultivation of oil palm, how long are you going to wait? Am I going to have gray hair before I start harvesting and all of those things? So his complaint and his fear was basically, let's deal with crops, annual crops that can give you production instantly within a year, rather than talk about a crop that you may have to wait. But the truth is, my dad, I believe, as at that time, was speaking from the local variety perspective. And when we talk about cultivation of oil palm, like I did mention when I started, that there is what we call the hybrid species, the hybrid variety. And the hybrid variety has a very short latent period. Between 3, maximum 4 years, you have your hybrid oil palm already producing, and production continues from that period to minimum of 30 years, and production on monthly basis. These are fantastic things about the oil palm, why it is a crop to be chosen when you are considering what crop will I consider to integrate with the real estate. Quickly, let me, on the final note, dwell on the benefit of the oil palm. There are numerous benefits of the oil palm, and beyond the general benefit or importance of the agro real estate, which I stated earlier, like MROI, maximum return on investment, like the IVL, increased value of land, like the C of L, security of land, the EB, environmental benefit, and the social benefit. All of these benefits can best be derived from oil palm. I remember a few years back when people get some landed property, I think one of the crop most time, if they are not ready to do structure at that moment to secure the land, has been this oil palm. And so when we talk about those 5 basic general benefit I discussed earlier about the agro real estate, the oil palm is well suited to provide those benefits. The oil palm is a crop that has multiple products. The major product that people normally are aware of the oil palm is the red oil. But the red oil, though that's one of the major products from the oil palm, is one of the numerous products that can be derived from the oil palm. We also have the fruit of the oil palm. From it you can get the palm oil, like I talked about, and then you can also get what we call the PKO, which is the palm kernel oil from the kernel. And these 2 products I mentioned, they are products that are highly sought after, both in the local market and then the international market. And then you could also talk about the kernels Shells, they are not waste. Some of these products, the shells can be put into construction purposes and all of those things. Even the leaves, up to the leaves of the oil palm, you can get some product from it which can serve for domestic purposes. So you see that even the trunk of the oil palm could also serve for construction purposes. So you see, everything about the oil palm tree is very, very relevant. So these are some of the benefits, the multiple product derived from it. And then what I refer to as high market demand. The product from oil palm can never be enough to satisfy the population increase and the high demand for its product. So when we talk about product derivable from the oil palm, there is a ready market for it. I remember when we started out with the oil palm plantation, we were looking at market. Market was an issue to us. And then when we started as a low-scale production, we had to go look for market. Let me put it that way. And then it got to a point in the business when we migrated from a small scale to a large scale that market came to us. The truth is that the product derivable from the oil palm is a product that has a ready market. It's one of the benefits why oil palm crop is to be considered. And then we also, the benefit of steady flow of income. Like I said earlier, the oil palm is a crop that can put you on monthly flow of income. No matter how bad production is, there's one thing that is certain about the oil palm. There must be, and there will be, a monthly harvest. And so the steady flow of income from this crop is another benefit from the oil palm. And then lastly, the oil effluent, the male effluent that is derivable from the processing of the oil palm, has over time been discovered as even a source of energy. Now, there are several companies, several oil mills that have the capacity to generate their source of power themselves, not from solar or from the national grid, but from the mill effluent. There's what we call the mill effluent that is derived from the processing process of the oil palm. And this has been found to have the capacity, with some other things put in place, to generate electricity. And some of these recognized mills today, that's what they do. And that is where their source of power comes from. And so I just believe that in comparison with other crops, the oil palm is best suited when it comes to the real estate business. So I believe these few reasons and benefits that I've shared with you will make you understand why, in considering the crop to integrate with the real estate business, the oil palm crop should be the best crop to be chosen. In subsequent broadcasts, we're going to talk more about the oil palm, dive into some sensitive areas of the oil palm that you need to know to make an informed decision. Thank you very much for listening. See you again in our next episode.